Welcome then to this next video from Driving Without Drama. I have retired now, so I'm not available to teach anymore. I do hope to be making some more videos in the future. And today I'm going to talk to you about choosing a driving instructor. Because over the years I've had people phone me up, and you'd be amazed, but perhaps you wouldn't, at some of the questions they ask. And it's a dead giveaway to me sometimes what they're looking for. I'll just say this to start with. Money is the main criterion with many a learner or their parents. And so I have to say, first of all, if you pay peanuts, you're going to get monkeys. We'll talk a little bit about the parents' input later on. But if you pay peanuts, you're going to get monkeys. Don't go with advertising and publicity. For the most part, almost all advertising is baloney, and generally driving schools are not much different. Yes, some of it will be true, but some of it will be a stretch probably, and some of it might be just a straight lie. So don't go with the publicity, whoever it is you're going for. That is to say, the advertising. You might pick a school. Somebody might say to you, well, I went with BSM, or I went with AA, or I went with Homers, or I went with Joe Bloggs, you know, Bill Plant, whatever. And I'm not criticising any of those. All I am saying is that probably most of the schools, all of the schools I would say, have good instructors and bad instructors. So the school name is not really a guide. You might get somebody who's very good and conscientious at that school, well done if you do, but you might get somebody who's a duffer and, you know, is not really all that interested. And that could happen, I suspect that could happen, whatever the school is. Even if the school itself and the managers of the school are reputable, they might not know, you know, that the people that work for them, they're franchisees, of course, so every instructor is self-employed. So all the BSM instructors, for example, are self-employed. And as far as the managers know, they might be good instructors, but in fact, once they get out on the road, some of those people might be hopeless, and some of them might be brilliant. So don't go by the school name. Also, it's not really worth asking how much experience have you had. I mean, you can ask, but it's no guarantee of anything. Some people, some instructors, the more experience they have, the worse they get. Unless we instructors keep the standards up, I say, not including myself anymore, but except instructors keep the standards up, they could go down with the passage of time. So the number of years a man or a woman has been in the job, again, is not much of a guarantee that you're going to get good tuition. I wouldn't bother asking about the pass rate. What's your pass rate? Because they might just lie to you. I don't know them all. I don't know whether they're all honest. I hope they are, but I fear that's not altogether the case with some of them. So if you ask what the pass rate is, you might get told some porkies. So I wouldn't bother asking about that. I mean, you know, pupils used to come to me and they'd say, I've had one test, I failed one test, or I haven't took a test yet. And I found out one girl had 6 tests and failed them all. So I used to take that with a pinch of salt from the other side. If they're cheap, they're probably no good. If they're dirt cheap, they're probably no good. Good instructors don't need to give themselves away. Good instructors don't need to charge peanuts. They've got plenty of work coming in. It all comes by recommendation of the good instructors. I never advertised for years. In fact, since I left BSM, I was with BSM for 8 years. In the 13 years following, was it 13 years? Yeah, 13 years after, I never advertised at all. I had business cards which I give to people that asked, but all my work was recommendations from people that had passed before me. And that's the way to go. If you're looking for an instructor, the best way to do it is talk to your friends that have passed, especially the ones that drive well. Don't waste your time with those that are shocking drivers. If you've got friends that have passed and they're good drivers, ask them. That's the best way to get a good instructor. Ask them who it was, ask them what they were like, find out, and then ring the instructor up. If the instructor that you contact, and most of you will probably contact by phone maybe, or possibly by email, if it's expensive, I don't know what expensive is these days, probably £30 is expensive. Ask them if they're grade A, because instructors are graded. The best instructors are grade A, at least on paper. But as a general rule, if they're grade A, you're going to get better quality instruction. And if they're charging a lot of money, ask them if they're grade A. And if they say yes, ask them if they can prove it. You want to see the certificate from the DSA that proves they're grade A. And you're likely to get good instruction from a grade A instructor. If you talk to an instructor over the phone or over the internet and their emphasis is more on a quick pass than on safe driving, be very careful. A lot of instructors sell themselves by their pass rate. Whether any of them bother to prove it, I don't know, but more so by how quickly they get people through. And really what the instructor should be thinking about, and there's nothing wrong with getting people through quickly, but if there's more emphasis on getting through quickly there is getting you through safety, just be cautious, just be careful. And one last thought, maybe your lessons might be paid for by your parents. And I used to have a lot of trouble with parents who were saying, is he ready for his test yet? Is he ready for his test yet? Is she ready for the test yet? And because I didn't want to spend the money. So depending on your relationship with your mum or dad, you might want to say, would you buy me a cheap parachute? I used to say to the parents, would you buy me a cheap parachute? Or if sometimes the parents used to say, why is he not taking his test yet? He's good enough. I'd say, well, why don't you take him in your car? And usually they back down pretty quick. So let me just very quickly review those. If you charge peanuts, you're likely to get monkeys. Don't go with advertising or publicity. Half of it's going to be baloney. A good school will have good and bad instructors, so the school name is not much of a guide really. And the same with independent instructors. Some of them are great. There's some really good instructors working on their own, really good. And there's some shockers as well. So, you know, you can't go by whether they're with the big school or whether they're on their own. It's no guide. Experience is no guarantee. They might have become careless as they've gone on through the years. They might have forgotten half what they learned. One of the advantages sometimes having a guy that's new on the block is it's all fresh in his memory, he's keen as mustard, he wants to make a living out of it, or she. And so sometimes an inexperienced man or woman can be better than an experienced one. Don't bother asking about the pass rate, because he might lie to you, she might lie to you. I wouldn't bother asking. If they're cheap, they're probably no good. If they're very expensive, ask if they're grade A. And also, if you go on the government website, if you put find a driving instructor in Google or whatever your search engine is, the instructors all have their grades on there. Mine is still on there, Colin Taylor, mine is still on there, grade A. I think it's still on there. And the pass rate, you know, the pass mark that they got when they take, that's all on there. I think it's on there for every instructor. So it's worth looking at that. If they're charging a lot of money, you want to see if they're grade A. And if it's not on there, ask the instructor to show you the certificate. Again, finally, if the instructor puts more emphasis on getting you through quickly than getting you through safely, just be careful. He might be great, she might be great, he might get you through in very few lessons. But my experience in the past is with many of those that boast about how fast they got them through, the quality isn't so good. I could be wrong about that, but that's the way I've always perceived it. So there's some guides for you when choosing an instructor, and I hope you find a good instructor and I hope you do well. That's it for today. Thanks for watching.